Now here, ladies and gentlemen, is where the Euphrates and Tigris rivers had built up rich deposits of earth that could produce crops in great abundance. But there were certain problems, you see, the people faced. For one thing, the land was overrun with wild animals, which were a constant threat to the safety and peace of the inhabitants. And you can check for reference Exodus chapter 23, verses 29 and 30. Obviously, anyone who could successfully provide protection from these wild beasts would receive great acclaim from the people. For all people in all times seek security. It was at this point that a large, powerfully built man by the name of Nimrod appeared on the scene. He became famous as a mighty hunter against the wild animals. And the Bible tells us, quote, "And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord," unquote. Genesis chapter 10, verses 8 and 9. Now apparently Nimrod's success as a mighty hunter caused him to become famous among those primitive people. He became a, quote, "mighty one," unquote, in the earth, a famous leader in worldly affairs. Gaining this prestige, he devised a better means of protection. Instead of constantly fighting the wild beasts, why not organize the people into cities and surround them with walls for protection? Then, why not organize these cities into a kingdom? What a great idea. Evidently, this was the thinking of Nimrod, for the Bible tells us that he organized just such a kingdom. Quote, "And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar," unquote. Genesis chapter 10, verse 10. The kingdom of Nimrod is the very first government mentioned in the Bible. Whatever advances may have been made by Nimrod would have been well and good, but Nimrod, you see, was an ungodly ruler. The name Nimrod, ladies and gentlemen, comes from Marad and means, quote, "he rebelled," unquote. Sound familiar? Wasn't Lucifer, an angel of light, tremendous knowledge, who rebelled against God and was thrown down to the earth to be the ruler of the material world? Well, the word Nimrod means, quote, "he rebelled," unquote. The expression that he was a mighty one, quote, "before the Lord," unquote, can carry a hostile meaning. You see the word "before" being sometimes used as meaning against the Lord. The Jewish Encyclopedia says that Nimrod was he who made all the people rebellious against God. That's taken directly out of the Jewish Encyclopedia. Let me say it again for you. Quote, "he who made all the people rebellious against God," unquote. The noted historian Josephus wrote, "Now it was Nimrod who excited them to such an affront and contempt of God. He also gradually changed the government into tyranny, seeing no other way of turning men from the fear of God. The multitudes were very ready to follow the determination of Nimrod, and they built a tower, neither sparing any pains nor being in any degree negligent about the work. And by reason of the multitude of hands employed in it, it grew very high. The place wherein they built the tower is now called Babylon, and those who built it were called the builders." And they still exist, ladies and gentlemen, today. Basing his conclusions on information that has come down to us throughout history, legend, and in mythology, a man by the name of Alexander Hislop has written in detail of how Babylonian religion developed around traditions concerning Nimrod, his wife Semiramis, and her child Tammuz. Now, Alexander Hislop wrote this, the results of his research, in a book called The Two Babylons, and I suggest strongly that you make every attempt to get that book and read it. It will open your eyes if you have an understanding of the symbology of the esoteric religion of Mystery Babylon and the secret societies today, which I have revealed to you through the Mystery Babylon series on this radio broadcast. It is important that we understand who these people are and what they believe. It makes no difference whatsoever whether you believe it or disbelieve it. If they hold the powerful positions of the world, if they are pulling the strings that make you dance, then whatever they believe affects you. Make no mistake about that. Now, when Nimrod died, according to the old stories, his body was cut into pieces, burnt, and sent to various areas. Sound familiar? We've discussed this same story before. You see, the first religion is also the last religion, and it has been every religion in between, in various aspects and various forms. It has never changed. His body was cut into pieces, burnt, and sent to various areas. Similar practices are mentioned even in the Bible. Judges chapter 19, verse 29, 1 Samuel chapter 11, verse 7. And following his death, which was greatly mourned by the people of Babylon, his wife Semiramis claimed he was now the sun god, S-U-N, sun god. Later, when she gave birth to a son, she claimed that her son, spelled S-O-N, Tammuz by name, was their hero Nimrod, reborn. And this, again, has been played out throughout the mysteries and throughout every religion throughout the history of the world. Now, don't misunderstand me, ladies and gentlemen. I mean by no means casting any slant or dispersion on any religion that any of you may be practicing. I'm making no suggestions that you should not be a part of whatever religion you belong to. I'm merely delivering a message of the truth to you all. The mother, excuse me, the mother of Tammuz had probably heard the prophecy of the coming Messiah to be born of a woman, for this truth was known from the earliest times, and you can check Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. She claimed her son was supernaturally conceived, and that he was the promised seed, the Savior, and she gave the first recorded virgin birth to her son, who was Nimrod, reborn from his wife, lover, mother. Tammuz was the child's name, and he was called the promised seed, or the Savior. In the religion that developed, however, not only was the child worshipped, but the mother was worshipped also. Much of the Babylonian worship was carried on through mysterious symbols. You see, it was a mystery religion. The golden calf, for example, was a symbol of Tammuz, son of the sun god, Nimrod. The calf, or the bull, was actually the symbol during that age of the astrological house through which the sun was moving. It was called, and still is called, Taurus, the bull. Later, when the sun moved out of the house of Taurus and into the house of Capricorn, then the golden calf became the ram, or the goat, and was worshipped in the temple of Mendes, and to this day it is known as the goat of Mendes. Every once in a while